Welcome back to Well That Didn't Work's Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Before we get going, I just wanted to talk about the dice tower.
That's right, we do have a
The
dice tower.
We've got a giveaway going on right now. We're actually giving it away during episode 4 of Call of Cthulhu, so it'll be our first stream in June. It's going to be the third Tuesday in June, same time as right now, 7 p.m. Central Time. And we're giving away a handmade dice tower that I swear rolls all 20s. I'm pretty darn sure.
Unless you're Rick or Mike.
Yeah, unless you're Rick or Mike. If your name is Rick and Mike, it's going to roll normal for you. But for the rest of us, it's all 20. So we're going to sign the bottom of this one. It's like number 1 in the manufacturer's queue. Mike made it. It rolls really great. It really actually does. Like, no joke, no lie. It's really well made. It's lightweight. It's all wood. It's painted. It really looks really fantastic. If you want to see some of that, is there a video of that on YouTube yet?
There is a video of that
Perfect.
on YouTube. The entire construction of that specific dice roller is on YouTube.
Awesome. Yeah, so we teach how to build it, and we're also giving away 2 of them?
Well, we have 2 of them.
It just
one
kinda
is
depends.
complete. The second one is still getting some paint job work done to it. But
Yeah.
after that, it'll be
Well,
it'll
it should be
to
ready
go.
by June.
Oh, well, that depends on how much you keep piling on my plate here, Percy.
That's true. So basically, the way you can enter to win one of these 2 dice towers is by subscribing via Patreon. Any level of donation gets you an entry for each $1 that you donate between now and the giveaway. So if you come in under the $2 mark right now, you'll get March, April, May, June. That's 8 entries into winning this dice tower. If you come in under the $15 mark, not only do you get a chance to play a game with us over Skype when our one-shots come up, you also will get 60 entries to win the dice tower. So go on over to Patreon, patreon.com/notworkingcrew to enter in on that. And it's not just the dice tower. That works for all of our future giveaways as well. Every Patreon subscriber will get a chance to win all of our future giveaways. So head on over. We would love to have you. If you like the things you're hearing, either on the podcast, YouTube, or live on Twitch, we would love to see you over there. And now, let's start Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, now we get to start Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, we
All
got
right, thank you, Percy.
We got to advertise first.
Well, we're advertising for ourselves. At least we're not advertising for somebody else.
By the way, hey, Asian Jinx, it's good to see you on Twitch. Keep that chat lively for us while we go.
All right.
Okay.
So, last time on Call of Cthulhu, Trail of the Jade Rabbit, our investigators were sitting at Bremen's bar when there was an accident that happened outside. Our investigators stepped outside, one being a doctor who apparently is not very good.
He calls himself a doctor.
Who's apparently not very good at, fixing people.
Hey, I subscribe to Medicine of the Mind.
Medicine of the mind. That's right. You are the psychiatrist, Doug Hauser.
That's right, Doug Hauser.
Yeah, what kind of
MD.
doctor is that? That's what I want to know.
Well, on top of that, we've got an old rum runner over here that I don't think he was much help other than spotting a few things.
Hey, you know what? I come in handy, and my time will come.
Tony, right?
Yeah, Tony Fontini.
At least I can talk to the cops.
That's true. That's true. And then we've got Kevin.
Marcus, the investigative reporter.
No, we're Kevin.
Okay.
For those of you that haven't been around, that's kind of a joke where we had a name change right there at the beginning of the last stream. But so Kevin, our investigative reporter, was just kind of standing around helping. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I found a lot of stuff.
I think
Did
it
some
was
stuff.
Right. So we
As long as I don't find the monsters, I'm okay.
so at the end of our last session, what we had was a journal that was handed off by the gentleman that wrecked the car. We found some bullet holes and bullet wounds that were in the vehicle that caused him to crash. We saw another gentleman in a dark suit that ran around a corner off at the end, in the distance. And at the very tail end of that, when Billy, our chauffeur, turned out the gentleman's pockets, took a hold of the journal, a business card fell to the ground.
That's right.
But prior to that, there was also some news articles. Missing individuals, a lot of things going on. The city, just in general, upheaval. With that, we're going to shift. I believe our heroes at this point had, or investigators. I'm not going to call
heroes
them
now.
heroes.
Heroes, I don't know. Yet to be seen.
Well, I've been called a hero before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hero to those that need alcohol.
Well,
He did tell us to make a second character just in case.
That is absolutely correct. So, I believe we had walked back into the bar at the end of that last scene.
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, I'm still outside, I believe. Doug just finished talking to the police.
All right, what's
Yeah.
Doug doing?
So Doug is going to walk back into Bremen's. Is that what it's called?
That's correct, Bremen's.
Bremen's. And so I open the door, and you hear the tinkle of the bell as somebody enters the bar. And I just kind of dust off my jacket and go and sit wherever Tony and Kevin have sat down. And as I sit, I send Billy home. I think he's seen enough for the day, and I tell him, take a cab. I'll drive the car and park it. No big deal.
All right. Reluctantly, I guess Billy hands you the keys over to the vehicle that he has now almost claimed as his own, even though it's yours.
Even though it's mine. It's
And it
literally.
doesn't have keys.
It does have keys. push to start, baby.
He's-
1939.
He's rich. He's rich. He's got keys. All right.
That's true. It's probably a crank.
No,
I
it's
don't
not a
know.
crank.
Is it not? No,
It's
okay,
not a
cool.
crank.
I don't know. I don't know my years.
We established that it's beyond the crank years, but the keys really didn't come around until the 40s, I
That's
believe.
true, yeah.
Early 40s.
Yeah, but still.
All right. So that was our history lesson last time.
And this time.
For those that didn't learn it the first time, Percy, I'm looking at you.
And I'm not meeting your eyes.
So what the cops have to say then? Doogie?
Please, it's Doug.
Oh, Doug, yeah.
Yeah, the cops didn't have very much information at all, but it seems like they think it's just a routine mix-up. He's just hit the fire hydrant and it's done.
A routine mix-up, bullet holes. I mean,
That,
Yeah, I
that's-
didn't really point those out because we were kind of the first on the scene. I didn't really want to point fingers in that direction while I was still standing there.
Yeah, typical. And they didn't see a thing, did they?
Well, I actually did try to point out. I saw an individual run down an alley just back there, and tried to point him out. And the officer actually told me to my face, "That's not my job. We'll get the detectives later." So that's kind of where we're sitting now.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have said much about the bullet holes. Pretty sure they were just there to keep people off of it.
Yeah. I think that's why I never got caught. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's probably true. You could have probably shot your name into the side of the wall, and they wouldn't have found you.
Yeah, probably so. But
And while this titillating conversation is taking place, you hear that same bell and chime ring as the door opens again. And you see standing in the doorway a little bit of a portly gentleman. He's in his mid-50s, and he's dressed in a real dark, slick blue suit. He's got yellow crest and buttons sitting on there, and you can see that he's got a golden shield sitting up in his upper lapel. And he proudly boasts a different type of name tag, police chief. And as he begins to walk up, he looks over at the bartender, and asks the bartender, who the individuals were that were on scene. And you guys can look over, and the bartender's pointing over towards your table.
oh,
Yeah,
damn,
I'll,
Pointing at you, Tony.
What is the chief's name? I imagine I would at least know him.
that's not good.
I'm kind of an elbow rubber.
I don't
Right,
like
from your from your circles, his name is John Patterson.
All right, so I'm gonna get up so that he doesn't come and bother these guys, and so that Kevin doesn't bother him.
That's true.
Chief Patterson, what can we do for you?
So my detectives on the scene over here, they reported that you guys, or a couple of guys matching your descriptions, were the first ones over here, and they said that you ran over here into the bar when everything was said and done, and they loaded the guy up on the meat wagon to take him off. But we got some other reports from some other people after you left that they could have sworn he gave you guys something.
Well, he didn't really give us anything. We asked him with his final breaths if he had any identification, and unfortunately he wasn't able to hand any of that over to us. We even looked in the glove compartment, but didn't find anything. We didn't really run back into the bar, though. I did stay and talk to your agent. Not agents, your officers.
So, we don't expect that you had anything to do with the shooting, because obviously there's a whole
Shooting?
group of patrons over here. Oh, yes, real quick. It's kind of obvious there was a bullet hole underneath the windshield.
Interesting.
That was kind of left out of your story.
I'm no investigator. I ran over as a doctor to see if there was anything I could do. Unfortunately, I'm unable to stitch up what was wrong with him.
And as a doctor, you didn't recognize a bullet in the chest?
Actually, no. There were so many other cuts, I didn't think to look. I was kind of... You see, I'm a doctor of the mind, not a doctor of the body. And so I didn't really anticipate things like that. I was just trying to help him see if there was anything I could do.
Shrink.
And indeed, we've met before, Chief. We've met before, probably at one of the mayor's parties.
Yeah, I recall. But it's a small world. But guess what? We got other business to take care of right now.
That's very true.
Let's cut the pleasantries here a little bit.
Absolutely.
Did he tell you anything about who he was after, what he was doing?
I don't know anything about him, but I did point at an individual that ran down an alleyway wearing a black coat. Looked like he could have been involved somehow. He took off as soon as I saw him. And your officers, and this is their quote, "That's not my job. The detectives will be here soon."
Those damn Irish flatfoots.
I'm
going to have to bust a few heads.
I don't know if I would call out the Irish like that, but okay. They do tend to get quite riled up when you do that.
That's the beauty of being a chief.
Well, that's true. People notice when you die. I mean, what?
People notice when you die.
That's right.
No, do elaborate.
Look, people don't notice when people like this chap die. The story won't even be really told, except maybe by my associate Kevin sitting over at the table. But even that
let's
story
go over and talk to good old Kevin over here.
I think he would love to talk to you, but I think he's going to tuck your ear off and try to get the inside scoop of what the police know.
And at that point, he's already turning and walking over towards the table.
Excellent. I will have a whiskey. And I sit at the bar.
And as he walks over to the table, he kind of turns around and says, Dr. Hauser, why don't you come on over here? This is for everybody.
Just 1 second. And I wait for my whiskey patiently.
You get your whiskey.
Great. Then I walk over. Kind of slow. I'm trying to get the chief a little bit off his game. I don't know what he's looking for from us, but I don't want him to get it.
All right. So, what do you think? We're gonna do our first skill challenge of the evening here. What do you think would apply towards that? I'm gonna kind of let you pick your poison here.
Psychology.
My credit rating.
Climb. Use climb. You're climbing the tower of deceit.
No, I think.
What about psychology? He's trying to.
No, I think I could use psychology to try to get under his skin like that. There's not really is there intimidation anywhere? I don't think so.
Yes, intimidate.
Yeah, there is intimidate. I don't want to use that because I'm not trying to shake him down.
Persuade.
If you're trying to throw him off his game, then I think it is
either
psychology.
Psychology, persuade, or charm is kind of what I was going to go for. One of those three.
I'm gonna make a ruling that we're gonna go with psychology on this one.
Okay, sounds good. They're all exactly the same for me.
And let's see how this goes.
Okay, are they normal checks?
It's a normal check.
I failed.
I told you were no kind of psychologist.
I got an 83 over 60.
He just can't read people.
So the chief is just kind of tapping his finger
Now,
on the table.
that means that he doesn't get mad, right? Because I was trying to make him mad, and I failed to do
No,
it,
you were trying
right?
to throw him off his game, right?
Oh,
that just
okay.
means he's not throwing off his game. So he's kind of
Okay.
tapping his finger, and he's kind of playing along, knowing what you're trying to pull.
Now, what does luck do?
Luck will allow you... Now, Percy, I will say this. If you would like to push your roll,
Yeah, how do I do that?
you can just declare that you want to make a push on the roll and re-roll. But there are consequences
Okay.
if you push a roll and fail.
Yeah, what is that?
So in this, it makes sense that you're taking too long and you would irritate the chief.
Okay. And that would be the consequence of failure?
Right.
What
Now,
what
with
does
your
pushing
luck,
cost me?
Now, it doesn't cost you anything.
Oh.
But if you are close and you need to spend luck points,
Okay.
in order to be able to, for a 1-for-1, to add to your roll to be successful, then you can do so as well.
Okay, so basically pushing your luck makes you...
The first time you push your luck, it's at a risk of consequence.
Okay.
And after that, ultimately what you can do is you can spend your luck points to buy your way into a success.
Okay. Sure. So I will push my luck. Basically, like as I'm doing this, as I'm taking my time, like I see that he's still like he's very focused. So I kind of shake it up a little bit, and instead of sitting in the chair that he had pointed to, I walk over to another table and grab a chair of my own. That time I got a 9, so I pass it no matter how hard it is. I got an expert success
with an exceptional success.
Exactly.
So you're cool as a cucumber, grab another chair, and he's just standing around waiting. And at this point, once you pull the chair up, he looks at everyone and says, you know, maybe you're asking yourself, and he's kind of quiet when he's doing this, maybe you're asking yourselves why the chief of police is here and not some, little schmo cop, right?
I imagine it's because we're so important.
Yeah, you can keep telling yourself that. But I got a little warning for you. It's simple. Every cop right now is busy with all these disappearances going on. I'm sure you read the paper.
Sure.
Didn't you, newsboy?
Sure. I didn't write that story.
But I'm betting you wish you had. What if I can work you in on a even better story?
My ears are peaked.
That's good. And for you, Mr. Tony.
Fontini, sir.
Fontini.
You know.
Okay, Fontini. We'll go with Fontini. So, Mr. Fontini, I know what you used to do.
What?
I sampled the goods here and there every once in a while. Who didn't?
I don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
Us law-abiding citizens, Chief.
Well, okay. I think you got some skills that we might be able to use in all. Because some little birdies told me that you guys got this little organization going on where you like to look into strange happenings.
I believe that's your organization, right?
Oh, we look into stuff that happens, not the strange ones.
Oh, you avoid the strange. I see.
Well, sometimes the strange ones lead to problems. So we hire private investigators of sorts.
I thought you had some special files, X-Files or something that you look into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the truth is out there.
Yeah, okay.
All right. But here's the deal. Since you and your group like to look into these strange matters, and if I'm not mistaken, the last time we had a conversation, Dr. Hauser, you like to prove things wrong.
Well, I quite do enjoy that, yes.
You like to prove you're the smartest guy in the room.
I don't feel like I really have anything to prove on that one.
He has trouble with that, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean. I have no trouble proving that. I just don't need to.
Oh, I see.
You see, I do have an education of 105. I cannot fail a roll.
Except you have. No.
An education roll, okay?
All right. Well, because of this little club and organization you guys got going on, I kind of have to lump you into the group of the private investigators that are in the city. Now, one thing we haven't released to the papers, and this is where your story gets to come in.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are going and disappearing have all been PIs. People who are working for us.
So, about working for you
So
now.
I don't think that this is a job we can take, Chief.
You're saying that you want us to disappear?
Nah, I don't want anybody to disappear. I'm just saying I'm giving you a friendly word of warning that the PIs in this city are having a problem.
I see.
So with that guy
Well,
up there, he
our
was a
prayers
PI?
do go out to those PIs.
I'm sure they do.
So the guy out in the street, he was a PI?
Yes, he was.
Oh.
Now, he wasn't working directly for us, which is what makes this one a little bit weird.
Who was he working for?
Well, that's what we need to know.
So
I see. Well,
Nuts.
where
Now,
might we start?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he's got this partner of his that you might be able to look up and find.
Well,
My cops are busy. I'm sorry.
what's the stiff's name?
Well, don't you have a business card there that has everything on it? Because I sure don't know what all information he's got.
I told you we could not find any identification on this man.
Gasparian, you know, I don't understand. You're coming here to talking to us. You want us to work for you? I don't understand.
All right,
Sure.
all right.
I think
Robert Sean. Let's just cut to the chase.
Robert Sean.
Robert Sean.
He's a private dick too.
He's a private dick. Now, we also know that he was chasing a guy by the name of Paul Dillon. That's who he was hired to investigate. Now, we don't know who hired him. We've had a small conversation with his partner.
And who is that partner?
His partner's name is James Duval. Did I break you, Rick?
Yeah, that's why I was going to make a Godfather joke, but I figured that's not appropriate with
Right.
the chief of police.
So, Duval, he's a former cop. He got out of the business and started making it a little bit more profitable for himself. So I know he's got a shop over on the east side. That's one lead that you can possibly follow up with. Find out a little bit more. Because for some reason, Duval doesn't trust us very much anymore. Since he got out, he ain't giving us a whole lot of info.
So what makes you think he's going to talk to us?
Well, that's part of the job, right?
Yeah. Maybe he'll come to us to see what we know.
You want the story? You want me to stay out of your background?
I got nothing to hide, Chief. I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. I'm down here in St. Louis, got nothing to hide.
We got a whole file of how much rum you ran into this city.
I mean,
Let's not incriminate ourselves.
I'm not trying to incriminate anybody. Throwing a little shade my way, but okay.
But again,
So we help you out. You grease the little wheels for us. We help you. You help us. Is that the drift here?
pretty much that's the deal.
I've done that kind of thing before. I can see that.
Any help you can provide me, I'll appreciate, and I'll make sure it comes back to help you out when you need it the most.
I like the cut of your drip there. I like the way you're talking. Yeah, we could. What do you think, guys? You think we can help this guy out?
Sure.
I mean, the story sounds interesting enough.
We can definitely give Mr. Duval a chat.
Mr. Duval. That sounds like a name's gonna be famous one day. I don't know
Yeah,
something. I got a feeling.
Probably. Jimmy Duval. I can see it now.
And with that, the camera fades out. Okay, so next, the next scene that I have in mind, and again, this is going to be stepping away from the bar and going back over to where you guys would normally meet. And at this point, I believe the normal meeting location would be at Doug Hauser's house. He's probably got the most house and most space and most room.
I do have the most house.
He got some
Got
nice.
the whole box set.
He
on
got some
DVD.
nice silver too. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Kevin.
It was a bad joke, and I love them.
I don't think y'all caught what I said.
The wink is what sold it.
The link is what sold it.
That's what she said.
So the camera's going to cut into the group of investigators, the group this team,
Yeah.
and club, including extended NPCs and some of the what our viewers will come to know as your backup characters.
Yeah. So my study is ducked out in, of course, tons of mahogany shelving, both for books and for fine liquors. That I just kind of keep around for such occasions as these discussions. Lots of plush chairs and some wooden chairs if you're into the more firm nature of sitting. I've just kind of made sure that the room is stocked with everything anybody would need, including most books on the occult and ruins that we can get our hands on.
All right.
So,
And I'm just making. I have $40,000 to spend, so if I need to spend that to make this happen, then I will.
well, you got some good cigar. We'd have Cubans at this point too,
Of
because
course.
Cuba would be,
Of course,
you know,
cigars, pipes.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna light up a big old
It's
fat
1939, so probably some cocaine.
Well, at that time,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
stogie. Just give me a Coke and an aspirin, okay?
don't do drugs.
Yeah, please don't do drugs. We're role playing in the 30s.
Yeah. Yes.
They shouldn't have done them either, kids.
No.
All right. So, as you know, Percy, or as Doug has described his house, you know, the camera's kind of going in and out of the scene of you guys having some discussions, and one of the gentlemen that's sitting in the group, he leans across and goes, "So, what happened?"
Well, apparently the chief knows more about this fancy little operation than what we'd like him to know, but he's asked us to find some information about Paul Dillon, I think. These are kind of just leads. Apparently, private investigators have been disappearing all around St. Louis, and for whatever reason, instead of hiring his own detectives, the chief has reached out to us and said that we should find where these PIs are going.
Well, don't you think that's a little strange?
Yeah. What's up
Hey.
with
Well,
that?
yes, I do. I do not trust the chief.
It's even stranger because this is the same case that the detectives are all on too.
It seems almost like we're being baited into being trapped and captured ourselves.
That may sound right, but you know, Billy stopped by just a little bit ago, and you know, I don't think I've ever seen him pull up without you in the car.
Yes, I didn't think that. I didn't think that he should be exposed to the officials in the way that we were.
He was kind of covered in blood too, you know.
He
It
was
didn't
kind
look
of
good.
covered in blood. He had done a lot to try to help Mr. Sean after he got into his accident and shot. So, for a kid, I just didn't want him to be out in that muck anymore.
Well, he dropped off looked
A
like a small
journal.
book.
Yeah. What about that journal?
It's over in the parlor.
Ah,
I took a look at it, and man, that thing is locked up tight.
I see.
I got a little bit of skills. Maybe I can, you know, get it open.
Yes, I believe we did hire a witch as well. So, since we're making up NPCs that belong to our group.
Unfortunately, I didn't put anything into locksmith, so
Well, it doesn't mean they're going to be an active player character.
That's true.
It's just part of the group,
That's true.
aka an NPC. All right. Anyway, so Rick, with that, or what would you like to do?
I'd like to Chinese it open.
yeah, I'd like to try to pick it. Now we all start out with a base score, right?
how skilled are y'all at locksmith?
Not at all.
1%.
Right, but we have a base score, or is that?
Yeah, that's the 1%.
That's the 1%.
Oh, that's the 1%.
I have 30%.
Okay.
Ah.
I guess I'll.
Well, that makes sense for an investigative reporter of this time.
Yeah.
You do got to
Let
sneak
me-
into a few things.
let me take a look at that. I think I can get it. 24.
Wow. All right. So you open up this this journal, and as you begin to flip through the pages, it just looks like gibberish. Different types of symbols, different types of annotations that you can't even make out what they are. A few sketches, a few drawings. And again, those drawings are really rough and just resemble things that you don't even recognize.
Would there be any chance that I could decipher some of it through... I know both Latin and Chinese.
You can make a roll at disadvantage.
What does disadvantage mean?
Throw an extra D10 in there, and you have to take the lower of the. So, at this point, what happens is you're going to throw your D10 roll, right? Your D100 overall. You have to take the lower of the 10s. So
You mean the higher of the 10s? 'Cause
technically,
lower,
it's the higher of the 10s.
lower makes me pass.
That's correct.
Oh, shoot.
Well, I fail on both of them, so it's fine.
I thought
So-
you were talking you don't fail.
That's education.
Oh,
He's not
isn't this educational stuff we're talking about here?
Would you describe your bookshelf as a library?
It's more like a decoration.
It's
Yeah.
more decorative.
Yeah, you know,
Yes.
look, we
I
got,
didn't know if I would
we
be
got one
able
right
to-
over there. Oh,
Yes,
look, there's a
how
bookshelf
about-
behind us.
How about that? Would having some of these occult books help
I'll
that
see if
to
I
not
can-
be disadvantaged?
Could I use
Like we could
his,
decipher it a little bit.
or can I use his library to
It is a
compare
library.
Can I compare some of those books or
Probably.
some of those books with what is in this
Oh,
journal?
absolutely.
Probably
I'd
has
love
more,
for you to do that.
Probably has
Oh
more
boy,
books.
this sounds like great.
What
that
would be the
library
roll
use?
for that?
Let's go ahead and do a library use.
Oh, that smile, it was not pleasant at all. 6.
Ooh.
Nice. Okay.
I
so-
succeeded.
At channeling.
Don't forget to
Yogg-Sothoth.
put your checkbox
Yep.
in when you succeed. Either.
Oh yeah.
So you do happen to find a book
Oh no.
that you're able to pick out a couple of these symbols out of the book, and you are able to see that the language in there is it's Middle Eastern in nature, but it's not a current Middle Eastern nature language. So while you're doing this and you're digging into these occult books, I would also like you to make a sanity roll.
Yay. It's
Just
what?
him or all of us?
Just him.
Oh.
It's roll below.
You need to roll below your sanity.
Okay. Yep, I passed.
Okay. All right.
35
You are
out
going to
of
take it.
45.
You are going to take a sand loss of 1.
Oh, but I passed.
That doesn't matter.
So anytime you roll, you
It
take...
would have been worse. It depends on the check. In Call of Cthulhu, and this is the quick explanation, in Call of Cthulhu, there are some checks that as you're going through and digging for information or some things you come across that just disturb you. And regardless of whether you're successful or not, you do take a minor sanity loss.
Kind of like Strife and L5R.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. Your critical success there was the fact that you were able to match up some of these symbols and decipher that it was an ancient Mid-Eastern language.
Doogie. Wait. Is it Doogie?
Doug.
Doug. I apologize. I would have said Doug. Doug. What were you trying to read this in?
I was just trying to decipher it. I've got training in Latin and Chinese.
Oh, you way off.
Okay.
I mean, it is a dead language, so I guess Latin's the closest. It's Middle Eastern.
Interesting. Like Arabic?
Yeah, kind of similar.
Maybe
I don't have much.
Sumerian?
Tony.
Hey, I heard that talk to him one time.
On that, will you roll me a education check?
Me?
Some great insight there, Tony.
Unless you critically fail this with 100.
Yeah, 72, bud. I'm
Okay.
good.
So, one of your contacts at one of these highfalutin shindigs is from the University of St. Louis, and you happen to know of a professor who specializes in Mid-Eastern languages. Medieval, no,
Wow.
Medieval Stern.
Medieval, in Mid-Eastern language, and his name is Aldar Sanadi.
University of what?
St. Louis.
Okay.
He's part of the archaeology department.
Excellent. Sorry for the silence there.
Because we're all scribbling.
Everybody's writing notes because
Yes.
this just happens to be the way it is in Call of Cthulhu.
Yes,
I
yes,
love.
yes.
I'm the one writing notes in the worst possible place.
Of
my
course,
gear and
if anybody were
possessions.
to, if anybody would look at my notes, it would be like looking at that journal.
Wow.
So as we
might
kind
make one
of
sing.
scan, as the camera kind of scans back in and everybody's having these conversations, I'll let you guys pick back up in the RP on this.
I do remember meeting an individual. I don't know him well. I did not learn under him or really have much contact with him in the university, but I did meet him at one of these parties, probably one where I met the chief, named Dr. Sanadi. He's a specialist in Middle Eastern language, particularly ancient language, in the archaeology department.
Sounds
Which sounds very familiar to the missing individual from the television.
oh, you're talking about? Well, we read about that archaeologist that
Was it
disappeared. Yeah.
newspaper or TV?
was a
I
newspaper.
couldn't remember.
It's the newspaper in the.
Yeah, they just started
Is
broadcasting.
the
I mean,
is the
this
journal
year is first
completely
year for
in
broadcasting.
the
I
ancient
don't
language?
know.
You know,
It looks like a combination of languages, but that's the predominant one.
Okay.
some people can afford televisions. You know, not all of us like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my friend, if we make it out of this, perhaps I'll buy you one.
That would be nice. You know.
Wait. Hold on.
Don't worry, Kevin. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
The
'cause we-
journalist never dies.
That's true.
Ah, the
Escape.
No, I
foreshadowing.
think that was journalism never dies, not the journalist.
Shh.
Oh. But they'll write a nice story about
Rum
you.
runners always go first.
No, we always get out. We
I
survive.
think, yes, I think we should go talk to Dr. Sonati.
Yeah, sounds
would
like
be-
a pretty snotty guy. I'm not-
Probably the next step. I can go by myself. I don't know that.
I'll go with you.
Okay,
Oh man, you know this
I
would be
mean,
fun.
not always ask the right questions.
Well,
that's
what-
true.
What about talking to the partner there that the chief mentioned?
Well,
Because you
that,
might have to check
Duval?
with the doctor to see his
Yeah, that's
first
the name.
available
Yeah.
time. We could go try the partner first on our way.
Yeah, I think
Though, would
if
it be-
it's, I think we need to cover as much ground as possible, as quickly as possible. Wouldn't you say? Especially if this is a trap and we are in fact now being hunted, even though we haven't done anything yet toward this investigation. I think. I don't know. I don't want to waste any time chasing multiple leads. I think we've got to pick a way to go.
Yeah.
Do we follow the journal, or do we go talk to?
Well, I figured we could do both
part-
because I assume one of them's on the way to the other.
well, but here's my thinking on this.
If
If we're gonna go talk to that partner guy, the more information we got, the more we'll be able to tell whether he's lying, because he's involved. This Sonati guy is probably not involved. So if we get information from this guy, then perhaps we can, we'll be able to pull some more strings with this Duval character. You know what I'm saying?
Here's what I think we should do. Let's find as many words here as we can and write them down on one page. Try to get Mr. Sonati get Dr. Sonati to help us create some sort of cipher so we can come back and translate this ourselves.
So you don't want to show him the book.
I don't want to show him the book.
That's probably smart. Keep our cards
So I
close
think
to the vest.
if we can use this, copy as many characters over, perhaps create an alphabet and get him to give us some kind of maybe some rudimentary idea of where we might find this type of vocabulary, we might be able to create our own cipher and be able to, over hopefully a short amount of time between all of us, be able to decipher as much of this as possible in a fairly short amount of time.
Well, then, my suggestion is, I got a friend, one of our groups, an archaeologist over here, in case I die, and
There's some foreshadowing.
and so or go crazy or whatever. But why don't we go talk to the PI guy while he sits here and does the cipher, and then when we get back, we can take that information and go to the snotty guy that we're talking about.
I know I'm going to regret this, Mike, when I ask this question. Can I use occult to decipher any of these symbols?
Sure, go for it.
I would also like to make that attempt.
Yeah, go ahead.
By all means, if you guys want to.
I did it.
I didn't do it.
I have a 65 in occult.
Okay.
I didn't do it.
All right. So now I would like you to make your sanity check.
What is my sanity? Yeah, I did not pass.
All right. I would like you to roll a 1d8, please.
Oh no. No.
Were you close? Could you use some luck?
I don't think you'll let me push a sanity roll, right?
No.
No, I was like 25 off.
Oh, so you failed it miserably?
A little bit. I got a 4.
All right. Take 4 off of your current sanity.
Oh, that's easy. That's much less bad than I thought it was going to be.
We'll see. We'll see how this plays out.
Okay.
All right. So what you're able to decipher in that book is that using some of the rest of your library, you've realized that there is some kind of partial chanting, some kind of partial, ceremony that's scripted in this book.
Okay.
And it's not enough that you can understand what it's for and what it's about, other than it just seems to have been hastily copied.
All right.
Do I get the gist of any of it, like deciphering the symbols?
No, what that you're able to make an understanding of the symbols to know that they're part of, basically almost like a Wiccan ceremony.
Okay, got it.
That they're not used in other contexts that you know of.
Okay. So would I potentially, and maybe I need to roll another education roll, would I potentially know somebody else, maybe even in the field of psychiatry, that deals particularly with that kind of thing? Now, that is kind of my personal specialty, is like, as a psychiatrist, I try to debunk things like that for people.
And I think that in this state and size of St. Louis, you're probably one of those foremost experts of that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that right now you have anybody to bounce that off of.
Yeah, so that's why I have the occult rating of 65.
Right.
Now, do we have anything else that we know this guy wrote? So is this journal, is it his, or did he get it from somebody else?
I think regardless of the direction of that, the truth of it is that this book is the only solid, trustworthy lead that we have.
True, but I'd like
because
to know...
there's no reason for a dying man to tell me a lie.
Did he tell you he wrote it?
He did not.
No, so...
He just said use it to find something.
There could always be a reason a dying man lies.
Well, I don't think he was lying. I think...
is this your psychological expertise at work here?
Well, as the chief told us, he was a hired PI looking for Paul Dillon, following Paul Dillon around. We know that is true. We also
Unless the
know
chief's lying.
that somebody shot him. Somebody shot Robert Shaw. And I saw a man run down an alleyway. Now, I cannot say whether or not that's Paul Dillon. I don't know Paul Dillon. Don't know what he looks like. Don't know what he smells like. But if this person was not Paul himself or was not working for him, then he is trying to hide something centering around that investigation. I think James Duval will know what that investigation was about, and I think that Aldair Sanadi will be able to help us uncover what Sean had already uncovered himself.
All right.
So I think we need to go have those conversations.
And you said you wanted to, we only want key phrases or key...
Yes, we're going to leave the archaeologist, whatever their name is, here to create the cipher page that I'll take to Sanadi later this evening once his classes are over.
Okay.
right now. Let's go talk to Mr. Duvall.
Yeah.
If you two will go do that, I'm actually going to try to get a bead on Paul Dillon.
On Paul Dillon?
Yes, I don't know that we need to follow him particularly, but I would like to at least know who he is. So I'm going to go speak with the operators and see what we can find out.
Okay.
I'm sure there are many Paul Dillons in St.
We
Louis.
can go shake this guy down. Of course, he
Yes.
was a former cop, so. But we'll see.
Which is why I don't want to be there for what you're going to say.
Oh, I see. Like, you don't think I know how to talk to a cop?
I think you know exactly how to talk to a cop, but it's
Yeah.
very different than how I talk to cops.
You talk to them about their wives and stuff, probably.
Actually, yes.
I see.
Unfortunately, I did do that earlier today.
All right, and as that conversation starts winding down, what approaches would you like to take?
Yeah,
Who's
so
going where?
I am going to, on the phone, contact the operators, see how many Paul Dillons live in St. Louis, and in this year, they would probably actually give me their addresses. So that's what I'm going to seek out and try to narrow down which Paul Dillon it is.
All right. So I know it's kind of a stretch for this, but let's do a library usage on this one.
That's a...
You're going to get some information regardless because
What
you're
about-
calling information.
What about fast
Yeah.
talking?
That's worse.
Oh.
That's 5% as opposed to 20. I should have put some library use skills in, but
You would think that a doctor would know how to use the library.
well, you would think. I honestly wasn't sure how often we would use that, so I didn't put skill into it.
It's an investigator game. Of course you're going to use it.
Hey, but I passed. I got a 16 out of under 20.
Very nice. So the operator does come back and tell you she's got 32 listings for various Paul Dillons within the city of St. Louis. Would you like to know any other information since you passed?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind just listing addresses and any known employers.
Well, Dr. Hauser, I think with that kind of request, I can have one of our, some a telegram or some documents sent over to your house first thing in the morning.
If you got it ready this evening, could I come and pick it up?
Sure, we can put somebody on that.
I would very much appreciate it. How long do you think it would be?
Give us about an hour, and we'll have that typed up for you.
Excellent. I'll be right over in an hour.
Right over in an hour.
Yes, I imagine it takes a while to get around.
So this conversation's going on for
Yep.
probably about 10 or 15 minutes with some back and forth trying to get her to give you the names, but she's not going to give you every name and address in the book.
Sure. And then I sit around and smoke a pipe and drink a whiskey while I wait on them to do their job.
Actually, I had a question for you. Is there any reason for me to believe that the archaeologist can decipher what is the best text? As
He's not
opposed to me?
deciphering. He's just writing down characters,
Well, I know.
like letters.
I
So
know.
you transcribe.
That's why I was asking is if that's better because I have
How would you do this? How would you...
through my journalistic knowledge.
Uh-huh. But how would you... No, what I'm getting
Oh,
at...
no. Like
is
keywords.
How would
of-
you view that information? Would you think that he's going to capture it, or would you, as a journalist, want to capture it yourself?
Yeah, I think I would. Because then I have... One, I have more confidence in my knowledge in language, in repetition of words and characters, and knowing more so than an archaeologist probably would.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think I'm going to leave you to go talk to...
By the way, Percy...
Listen, archaeologist, I know your job is ancient things, but I got this. I know English real good.
Yeah, but like repetition of words and everything else, and then
Sure.
what would probably seem key.
It would seem like an archaeologist would actually be better trained for that kind of stuff than a journalist, because that's what they do. Is they go and they study ancient, inscriptions and texts and.
And I'm not gonna disagree with you, but what I'm asking
But
as a
journalists
character,
will do what journalists do.
what
Yeah.
does a journalist do?
Yeah.
I know that. The problem is I need to go to both places. As a journalist, I would want to go question
and I'm
the
not
people.
too cool
and then,
going to talk to this cop by myself.
Fine, I'll go with you, Tony.
You know, when I go talk to cops, I haven't always had the best luck. But
That's fair. And you were going to say something to Doug?
So, based upon your deciphering that you did, go ahead and grant yourself a +1 to your occult knowledge.
Oh, +1, huh? Here, maybe do all this math right now.
I know, right?
Because it changes all 3 of my scores.
And this is a little bit of a deviation from the way that some of these skills work, but since we're doing a mini arc, I'm going to kind of help you guys along with certain things.
Okay.
All right. So, Tony and Kevin are on their way to go meet up with this private eye.
now we have his business card.
You have his business card.
Okay.
So I'm assuming we just hail a cab and the camera's going to see you guys exiting the cab in front of his set of offices.
James Duval. Let's go see
Okay,
what
yeah.
Mr.
I was about to call him Robert Sean when we first met him.
So we go up and I guess he's in some big building and he's got a.
Well, what you
little
see
office.
is a little like what a modern day strip center kind of building, and it looks like most of the buildings in the area. It's just a small little 2-story. Got some little offices to the side, and as you walk in, there's a frosted glass door there that has James and Sean private investigating.
Okay. So do we think it's appropriate that we'll just walk on in, or should we knock?
Tap.
I mean, because if it's an office.
So you're knocking,
Yeah.
and you're trying to figure out what to do, right?
If he's gonna knock, okay.
So from the other end of the glass, you hear, "Come on in. It's open."
All right.
After you, Tony.
All right. Hey.
That way, if bullets fly, you get hit first.
And as you walk in, you look across, and there looks like there's this kind of middle-aged gentleman. He's bored. Kind of looks like he's been worried and kind of, world weary. He's got a cigarette that's burning on his desk, and it doesn't look like he's actually smoked it, but it's like halfway down. And the office itself smells like 3-day-old laundry and cigarettes.
Ah, what a pleasant smell.
Smells like home.
He looks up and says, "Come on in. Pull up a chair. Been expecting someone, but you guys ain't it."
Who were you expecting?
"Well, was expecting the chief to show up.
The chief.
He already sent a couple of his lackeys to ask me a few questions."
I wonder
Why would the chief ask you?
what's the chief got to do with this.
"Well, apparently my partner just died."
Yeah, we know we were there.
As he's taking a big old heavy pull off of a good bourbon.
You got any more of that?
"Yeah, sure do. Go ahead. Sit on down.
I appreciate.
I'll pour you a drink."
I appreciate that. Yeah, we were
Glad
with
you
your
didn't hear
friend.
what Tony said.
We were with your partner when he died.
And there you went again.
"Yeah, I kind of got that story. That's why I said there's a couple people I was expecting, but it wasn't the guys that were there when he died."
He told us to come talk to you.
So he grabs a couple glasses and he even pours you a nip.
Ah.
Well, he kicks back, he slides those glasses across that messy desk, takes a drink. "Gonna get you a cigarette."
Nah, I don't smoke that much. I smoke the cigars mostly.
"So what can I do for you? Because I definitely got some questions."
You got questions for us?
Well,
I have some questions for you, but, I mean, I'll be happy to reciprocate.
so what happened to Sean?
He was shot.
Yeah,
That's what it looks like.
By who?
We don't know, but we did see some guy dressed in black take off. Actually, I didn't see him, but one of the other guys there says he saw him.
Yeah, he was trailing somebody. I'm wondering if that's who it was.
No. They were on foot. He was driving, so I'd say that maybe they were waiting for him.
Some guy, I think, by the name of Paul.
Paul.
Yeah, it's the guy he was trailing.
Paul who?
I don't know. He didn't tell me all the details. It's
Oh.
not like I was working the case.
Well, yeah, but you're partners, man. I know how partners are. You tell each other everything. Plus, you know.
You ever seen two cops get together? We don't tell everybody everything.
I thought partner cops told each other everything.
That's not how it works.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe not.
Bunch of lies, bunch of BS, bunch of exaggerating.
I see. Like donuts, huh?
Pretty much.
Okay. But he told us to come talk to you. He said we should talk to you. Why would he send us to come talk to you? We're nobody. We're just, a couple of schmoes out there, and we just happen to see something.
Roll me a persuade check. Where are you going with this?
Oh, I was. Tony was doing all the talking right now. I'm just kind of listening to gather what
Spot hidden.
I was like, one of those is not like the other.
Nope, I did not make my persuade.
So,
because I'm kind of curious where Tony's going with this line of questioning.
there's the last I knew, it had something to do with some of the disappearances of the workers and the staff, and some other PIs that were going missing. But he was on the track of Paul, or this Paul character, because the guy that hired him was looking for some kind of, I don't know, these little figurines.
Huh.
It's kind of weird. Didn't make sense to me.
You know who hired him?
Some chap, some bloke by the name of Charles. I need to check over in his desk. As he gets up and he walks over and starts looking through his desk and goes, the only name that's ringing a bell here is a Charles Dupree. And something about these little artifact statues.
Okay.
But that's all there is that I know about. Sean and I, we served together back in the Great War, and he was always kind of a man of few words.
So out of curiosity, because I'm looking into this case purely as a reporter, trying to get some leads on the story, because I've noticed a pattern here, a tie between that all these disappearances are private investigators, but even more so that they seem to have some tie with the cops. Not exactly sure what that tie is.
Well, now you know as much as I do, and the reason why I don't work for him.
But was your partner working with him? Because it doesn't sound like he was.
I don't know what he was doing on the side. All I know is this one gig.
So had you met this guy? Do you know what he looks like?
Which one? Dupree?
Yeah.
No, man. He's some kind of hermit. He lives down in central St. Louis.
Really? Do you got an address or anything like that? Phone number?
Maybe.
Has he got a beeper?
What the heck's a beeper? No. So I'm going to give you an opportunity again for another either charm or persuade.
What about fast talking?
Oh, you can do that too.
Yep. 08.
Oh.
So that's exceptional.
An exceptional success. We're not supposed to give away information about our clients here, but tell you what, sounds like you're going to be looking into my partner's death, so I think I can throw you a bone. And he ends up giving you the address.
Okay. Anything else that you know of that could help us in this? I mean, I got my my curiosity's piqued, and
all I can tell you is carry a gun.
Well, I always do that.
Can you carry two? One for me?
No, but I'll be by you. I'll help you out. When someone who's dying asks you to help him out, you feel kind of obligated. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry for your loss. I know he's a friend of yours and everything. I mean, I'm really sorry about that.
Also, I really hate to ask, but since since we are somewhat investigating his death, would you mind if I look through his desk?
No, help yourself. Go ahead and do a spot hidden.
I'm gonna look too.
I'm going to push my luck.
Okay. So your risk is that you will end up ticking off his partner. You will end up ticking off Duvall.
Okay. And how close does it have to be able to spend luck to succeed? Not close at all?
No, that's up to you. However much luck you want to spend,
Okay.
but the
Yeah,
worse
like
your luck is.
I've got 81 luck right now, and I would like to hold on to that for as long as possible.
Sure.
I
I will spend that.
I was successful on my spot hidden, just looking around the office for stuff.
Okay.
I'll push it to be, or I'll eat the luck to be successful.
Okay, fair enough. So the two of you start digging through, and you start noticing a couple little odds and ends pieces of paper that are kind of matching up some of the same symbols. But they're not connected. It's just random pieces of paper strewn throughout his desk.
Now, do we recognize the handwriting?
It's
Is it the same handwriting in the journal? So this was his journal. Okay.
Do you happen
Or
to,
all these other papers belong to somebody else.
do you happen to recognize these symbols at all?
Something that Sean was kind of fascinated with. He never really told me much on that. He just kind of babbled a bunch about, this Charles character and how he was looking for, these little artifacts that had some of these symbols on them, and this was kind of how his way of maybe how he identified what he was looking for.
Okay.
So he wrote all these notes?
I mean, Charles is paying him $1,000 just to find a little statuette.
$1,000? Jiminy
Tony,
Christmas.
we're in the wrong business.
Oh my gosh. You need a partner?
It's kind of dangerous to be my partner right now,
For
partner.
$1,000 I could take a chance. You know what I'm saying?
So how long have they been there at this point?
This is probably going on, including the taxi ride and everything over. We're probably looking at about maybe an hour and a half.
Okay, I'll call into Duval's office from the operator's space, like from picking up the note with all the addresses to see if they've had any luck.
All right, so the phone rings, and obviously
Yeah, he answers.
Duvall and Shantz.
Yes, two of my associates were on their way to speak with you. I'd wondered if they had stopped by yet. One a quite brash driver goes by the name of Tony, and another,
Oh, those two.
another nosy bloke.
We're kicking back, enjoying a nice little nip of bourbon and some cigars.
I see. Would it make your evening and the grief of losing your partner any easier if I were to bring by a good 20-year-old scotch?
No, I'd enjoy the heck out of that after rubbing some salt in the wound.
Absolutely. And please do forgive me, but this does come with the string attached of a continued conversation.
Well,
But you get to keep the bottle at the end.
I don't think these two blokes are moving on anytime soon, because looks like they're about halfway through a cigarette and hadn't even finished their whiskey yet.
Oh, I'm finished my whiskey, all right.
Well, if you'll entertain them for just a few more minutes, I'm on my way over now.
All right. And that's also where we're going to call it a session for the evening.